No worries.
Um, I would like to just point out that at Jesus' trial, the high priest asked him, "Are you the Messiah?" And Jesus says, "I am."
Well, you see, I don't really trust anything that comes from the Roman Empire, um, and those biblical texts certainly are something that I have great suspicion over. And Jesus would say, "Look for the divine within yourself," essentially, not "I am the Messiah." He wouldn't say that. That is not
Well, why would you
what.
say that? And how would you know that if you can't trust the text?
It was I am that I am, not I am the Messiah.
That's not what it says. Jesus, no.
Well, the issue is between individuals that believe in Scripture and those that don't. So I'm not an individual that believes in Scripture. So so there is no way to come to any accord between the two perspectives. Um, so you could quote Scripture at me all day, and it would have absolutely no benefit to either of us because we're coming from very two different perspectives. You would have a much better knowledge of Scripture than I would, um, but I would simply say that's not what Jesus said, or that's not what Jesus meant. Back to certain things that you would be able to quote to me, because the Bible doesn't tell you about the real life of Jesus. Has no it has no substance in that real life about what his community was about either. The community that he lived in was had a very different perspective to what's written in the Bible. But the Romans wanted to frame it in a certain way in order to control the population. That was the idea behind it.
Just because it says I am doesn't mean it says I am Messiah.
Well,
They
he,
added that.
well, how? Okay, well, in the Bible, they said, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?" He says, "I am. I am," said Jesus, and you will see the
In your
Son.
in your specific version it does.
It says it in all the Bibles. I mean, can you show me an example
No,
where
it
it doesn't?
doesn't.
Can you show me one where doesn't say that?
It doesn't say I am the Messiah in every single Bible. No, it doesn't.
He never
It
said
says I am.
yes. He says, "I
But
am," and you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One.
yes, just as I mentioned earlier, and I will continue to mention, just because it says I am doesn't mean I am Messiah.
But he's in direct response to what he was asked. He was asked, "Are you the Messiah?" And he says, "I am." How could it mean anything else?
Yes, that's in response to I am that I am.
No, it's not what it said though.
How does that not make sense to you?
Look, well, okay, okay. Well, if you look it up, it's in Mark 14:60. The high priest says, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?" And chapter in verse 62, he says, "I am," said Jesus, "and you will see the Son of
But
Man
does it
sitting."
say I am Messiah? Does it say right after? Does it say in his response I am the Messiah? No, it does not.
He says, "I am," in response. I mean, it's the most logical conclusion. I just don't see how you could derive it any other way. I mean, it just seems like bare minimum
No,
logic, honestly.
just because it says I am does not mean that he's claiming that he is the Messiah. I
So,
am that I am.
no, that Yahweh. That's not what. No, it's not the same words.
And I think we're getting into a conversation that was similar to the other night, which is entrenched viewpoints will never come to an accord, especially when um, there is passion underneath them. I remember the conversation about climate change, and this is very much along the similar lines. When the what's it called? When two opposing forces meet, what's it? The immovable object and the well, whatever. It doesn't help. I don't feel, and I feel that religion has been um, a great scourge on this particular planet, and also to stop individuals from actually doing any inquiry into the veracity of the claims of each of those books. That has been certainly occluded from people's eyes, is actually the idea that they can question the narratives that are actually produced in front of them as truth. So that's one of the things that I'm keen to do, is question those narratives, and you know, be that climate change or the Bible. So if you have a firm view on those subjects, that makes it more difficult to have that conversation, because that then becomes an entrenched belief that is immovable.
I'm going to make this as clear as possible. Once again, when somebody wants you to affirm something, you say what they say. You affirm it that way. If you say I am and that's it, you don't affirm everything of what they said.
I actually do host Moan Space on Monday, so I appreciate the discussion, but I guess I'll leave you here and you can look it up yourself. In the Greek version of the Old Testament, in Exodus, when Yahweh says, he reveals his name in chapter 3, verse 14, the Greek is different than what Jesus says in Mark. So, I mean, I'll just leave that there. You can make it what you want, but I appreciate the conversation, guys.
Yeah,
John,
cheers, Supreme. Have a good night.
John 3:14.
Why are you leaving?
You're gonna leave it with John 3:14.
If so powerful, why leave? I'm joking.
All right, Yoda.
Yeah. It's the truth. You know, if beliefs cannot be questioned or handled under scrutiny,
That's what I'm all about, bro. Cognitive dissonance. That's me.
Hold on. Relax, Thomas, aka Yoda.
Whoops. I meant the other one.
Do I have to mute all? I'll go ahead and mute all. All right. You notice how people run off? Sit with it. Sit with it. You can't just say your piece and then run. Is that what he does in the other spaces? No, he doesn't. If you can't sit with the uncomfortableness of the truth,